The next is the blood cell that is died.
Good evening, and welcome to the May 13th, 2024 Board of Aldermen meeting. I now call this meeting to order and would ask everyone to join in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before I ask the city clerk to do a roll call, I just want to make one quick comment. Tomorrow morning is the police officers' memorial prayer breakfast, and one of the parts of that meeting is they scroll through every police officer who has died in the line of duty since they started to keep records. It is a somber period of time, and it's a distressingly long list of officers, So I think this is National Police Officers Week, and you see a police officer, tell them thanks for their service. They deserve it. It is no exaggeration that when they go to work, they're not really 100% sure they're going to be coming home that night in terms of the job they do. So and as I said many a time, I believe in town and country we have a police service second to none. So I just wanted to say that. And now I would ask the city clerk for roll call attendance.
Alderman Allen? Here. Alderman Harder?
Here.
Alderman Hughes?
Here.
Alderman Kinsella?
Here.
Alderman Murphy?
Here.
Alderman Schwer?
Here.
Alderman Steinhubel?
Here.
And Alderman Weezahan?
Here.
Mayor Remus is presiding, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Now ask the board to consider the minutes from the April 22nd meeting. Seek a motion and second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or amendment? All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
And one opposed, thank you. We have, I believe, 3 public hearings tonight, and we will go through them, obviously, one at a time. There will be a time for the public to talk, and would emphasize that it's not usually an issue here. Everyone will be polite, I understand that, but it will hopefully 3 minutes per speaker. Thank you. The first is a public hearing to review a request by Alex Bartlesmeyer on behalf of McKelvey Homes LLC owner for approval of a conditional use permit for an accessory structure not enumerated in the zoning code, a detached garage / covered pavilion located at 18 Williamsburg Estates Drive in the suburban estate SE zoning district. I now declare the public hearing open and would ask the city clerk to enter exhibits.
Exhibit number 1 is affidavit of publication of notice of hearing, published in the St. Louis Countian on April 26, 2024. Exhibit number 2 is typewritten notice of hearing, posted at the Municipal Center, on the city's website, sent via Notify Me, posted on the subject property, and mailed to property owners within 300 feet of that property, with a list of those property owners attached. And exhibit number 3 is bill number 2421.
Thank you. I would invite Mr. Alex Bartlesmeyer, owner, to the podium to answer any questions. And I would ask the board if they have any questions or discussion for Mr. Bartlesmeyer. And are there any members of the public that wish to comment? I now declare the quickest public hearing ever.
Good job.
Next is a public hearing to review a request by Angela and Nathan Hall, owners, for approval of a conditional use permit for an accessory structure, a pool house, located at 13650 Clayton Road in the suburban East SE zoning district. I now declare the public hearing open and would ask the city clerk to enter exhibits.
Exhibit number 1 is affidavit of publication of notice of hearing, published in the St. Louis Countian on April 26, 2024. Exhibit number 2 is typewritten notice of hearing, posted at the Municipal Center, on the city's website, sent via Notify Me, posted on the subject property, and mailed to property owners within 300 feet of that property, with a list of those owners attached. And exhibit number 3 is bill number 2422.
Thank you very much. I would invite Bill Kemp, owner's representative, to the podium to answer any questions. And I would open it to the board for any questions or discussion for Mr. Kemp. And are there any members of the public that wish to comment? Thank you, Mr. Kemp. I now declare the public hearing closed.
Thank you.
Next is a public hearing to consider zoning code amendments related to the regulation of land development, specifically section 405.1710.a and section 405.1710.b. I now declare the public hearing open. I would ask the city clerk to enter exhibits.
Exhibit number 1 is affidavit of publication of notice of hearing, published in the St. Louis Countian on April 26, 2024. Exhibit number 2 is typewritten notice of hearing, posted at the Municipal Center, on the city's website, and sent via Notify Me. And exhibit number 3 is bill number 2425.
Thank you. I would invite City Planner Ryan Spencer to the podium to answer any questions. Are there any members of the public that wish to comment? Thank you, Mr. Spencer. I just mistaken, obviously we have another. Did you?
Do we have some questions for Spencer?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
So just for the record, we're still open on the public hearing currently for the zoning text amendment.
Perfect. Alderman Beasley.
Thank you. And yeah, just to mention, I had a lot of conversations with Mr. Spencer leading up to tonight. It's been helpful going over everything, explaining some of the changes. I did want to just try to get an understanding of kind of how these changes came to be, the reasoning for bringing them forward for this particular zoning code. As far as the green space goes, the changes for the changes that you highlighted, I don't have my packet pulled up yet. The changes that you highlighted in your memo pertaining to the single family, just you can kind of explain that a little bit.
Certainly, the green space was an issue that was brought forward from the Board of Aldermen in previous plan development. Alderman Holman had noted the 50% green space was a high minimum for commercial plan development performance standard. Staff investigated other cities and how they regulate commercial plan developments and looked at our own commercial centers and determined that that was in fact an outlier. It was a high standard, thus the proposed 40% more in line with how other cities regulate it. The other changes are ministerial and administrative in terms of clarifying the language as it relates to how we apply our PD zoning, either for 100% residential district, to use our existing planned residential community regulations, which have been on the books for many decades, or if it's a mix of uses to follow through with our section 1700 plan development regulations. So when we had a case come forward, examining that language, this is the right time to make those changes. Again, we're clarifying clarity and eliminating some ambiguous wording that we had in the code.
One of the questions that we went over was, is there for having a planned non-residential development, is there ever a limit, to keep the spirit of it being non-residential, that only a maximum percent would be residential?
I think the issue we have is the title, planned non-residential development. The intent is to capture a mix of uses. In this case, we have a residential situations where you can have a combination of residential and non-residential. There is no specific minimum in the code. It's certainly up to any board of aldermen if they would like to set a minimum floor for the amount of residential within a mixed-use development, but as of right now, it's open.
And then lastly, the other question I had was, kind of to the same point in the green space, with this particular code, as that can be changed. Today, under today's code, if it was to follow, follow what's presented, where could this be applied? And then should any of the code changes, again, particular to the adjacent properties such as the highways and things like that, should that change, how much does that open up the possibilities for this code to be applied in other areas of the city?
Any board of aldermen can apply the code as they amend the code and apply in any way they see fit, if the majority feels so inclined. So there's nothing to say that a future board of aldermen couldn't expand qualifying areas where these kind of regulations could apply, or in the opposite direction, eliminate them altogether. It's up to each board to make that determination.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I would declare this public hearing closed. Next, a public hearing to review a request by McBride Barrow Land Company LLC, owner under contract for approval of a change to the official zoning map of the city of Town and Country to rezone a site of approximately 11.58 acres at 14302 South Outer 40 Road, the site commonly known as Woods Mill Center, from the commercial C zoning district to a planned non-residential PNRD zoning district in association with a preliminary site development plan in order to develop a restaurant and a 72-lot single-family residential community. I now declare the public hearing open. I would ask the city clerk to enter exhibits.
Exhibit number 1 is affidavit of publication of notice of hearing, published in the St. Louis County on April 26, 2024. Exhibit number 2 is typewritten notice of hearing, posted at the municipal center, on the city's website, sent via Notify Me, posted on the subject property, and mailed to property owners within 300 feet of that property with a list of those property owners attached. Exhibit number 3 is bill number 2426. Exhibit number 4 is a PowerPoint presentation that will be given during this public hearing consisting of 35 slides. I'll also be entering a number of public comments into the record. Each of those was previously distributed to the Board of Aldermen up until this meeting, so you still might have some new ones. But each of them will also be attached to the minutes for tonight's meeting. And all of the ones I'm going to document, there are 18, are one page unless I specify otherwise. So public comment number 1 is a letter in opposition from Dennis Bolazina dated April 22nd, 2 pages. Number 2 is an email in opposition from Fred Malin Smith dated May 3rd, 3 pages. Number 3 is an email in support from Rick Siebert, 14229 Manderley Woods Drive dated May 8th. Number 4 is email in support from Eleanor and Fred Hager, 14220 Manderley Woods Drive dated May 8th. Are you still there? Number 5 is letter in opposition from Granville White dated May 8th, 4 pages. Number 6 is email in support from Kim Tuck dated May 8th. Number 7 is email in support from Karen Gadara, 737 Craffle Lane dated May 9th. Number 8 is email in support from Michael Gadara, 737 Craffle Lane dated May 9th. Number 9 is email in opposition from Brad McLeod dated May 9th. Number 10 is letter in support from Sharon and Steve Rothmel, received May 9th, 2 pages. Number 11 is email in support from Joe and Debbie White, 715 Stifle Ridge Court, dated May 10th. Number 12 is email in support from Julie Ledlove, 730 Cedarfield Court, dated May 10th. Number 13 is email in opposition from Stephen McGillivray, 1743 Stifle Lane Drive, dated May 10th. Number 14 is email in support from Stephen and Davina Elster, dated May 10th. Number 15 is email in support from Tom and Kathy Bridges, 724 Cedarfield Court, dated May 11th. Number 16 is email in support from Ted Hellman, 14236 Manderley Woods Drive, dated May 13th, 2 pages. Number 17 is email in support from Norman Probst, 1712 Stifle Lane Drive, dated May 13th. And finally, number 18 is email in support from Mark Wittenberg, 14247 Manderley Woods, dated May 13th.
Thank you very much. What we'll do is we'll have the applicant or the representative to the podium for presentation. Then I will ask the board for any questions or discussion they have. And then we have a fairly robust number of public comments that we will get to after that.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
Board. My name is Jeannie Allmiller. I'm here on behalf of McBride Bear Land Development, the applicant this evening. And we have a large team with us this evening to answer questions. We have engineers, traffic consultants, everybody who can hopefully answer questions should they arise. But I just want to introduce a few people before I start. Our civil engineer on this project is Stock and Associates, and here on behalf of Stock is Kate Stock-Gito. Next to her is Jeremy Roth, who is president of our land development company. Next to him is Jake Eilerman, who is our CEO. And next to him is John Eilerman, who's our chairman of the board and also a resident, longtime resident of the city of Town and Country. So I am very, very excited to present this project to you this evening. This site has a lot of challenges, but also a lot of opportunities, and we are so grateful to be part of that process and those opportunities. Just a little bit about the team we assembled. We realized at the onset, when we put this piece of property under contract, that this deserved an A team. Not that every project doesn't deserve an A team, but this deserved some extra special treatment. And so we assembled a very unique team for this project. You can see the logos up there, particularly Stock, and also particularly Dick Bush Architects. We consulted with him from the very beginning to come up with a very unique architecture, signature architecture that we have not used before just for this project. And we'll show you some elevations in a little bit. Also, at the onset, the second thing that was the most important to us was to engage with the surrounding property owners from the very beginning. And I can tell you that our team has personally met with the surrounding property owners, the surrounding residents. If there's been one meeting with them, there's probably been 20, no exaggeration. multiple stages along the way to keep them informed of changes to the plan, to listen to their concerns, address their concerns. It's really a great group of people that surround here. I've had the pleasure of attending most of those meetings and meeting with them. So that includes meeting with residents and trustees of Cedar Springs, multiple meetings with residents and trustees of Manderley, multiple meetings with adjacent property owners in Cedar Springs that are most impacted, one-on-one meetings with them to hear their concerns, address their concerns. And we've met with the commercial office park trustees that surround the site as well. I am very pleased to report that all of those meetings that we have attended with those groups have been very, very positive. We've addressed concerns. I'll talk about some of those issues that were presented to us and the approaches we took to address those this evening. But I am very, very pleased that the residents that immediately surround this project and the vicinity of this project overwhelmingly are supportive of this project. That was very important for us at the onset, was to work with the community and incorporate them in this process. And they are, I think, very pleased with the process, as are we. So just a little bit of history about the site. This is an 11.5 acre site. I think we're all pretty familiar with it, but just in case you aren't, it's an obsolete commercial strip center that was built approximately 47 years ago. It's almost entirely vacant right now. It's zoned commercial right now. There have been several past proposals in various forms, formal and informal, for this project. I think the owner of the site, the current owner of the site, told me that it's been under contract 5 or 6 times. I think we're the 6th contract with apartments, senior living, most recently before us. I think we're all familiar with the Maryville proposal that was not supported by the residents in the vicinity. This is the site. I think we're all familiar with it. These are some pictures of what the site looks like now, distressed, in need of a creative solution. So what's on the site? I went to the site about a month ago now and went there about 8:30 in the morning and took some perspective pictures from the site. All of these pictures that you can see with the arrows were taken on site, about 50 to 100 feet in the site, ringing the site. And as you can kind of see as you walk around the pictures, there's a lot of commercial that surrounds this project that is very, very visible from the site itself. As you can see, intense office, high-rise office, the MoDOT building, the brick building, a lot of parking immediately adjacent to the site. So there's just a lot of intense uses along with the highway that surround this pretty much on 3/4 of the site. And then, of course, to the south, you have single-family residential in the Cedar, and then further south of that, the Manderley community. So why is it unique? It's a very unique site for the city of Town and Country. It's existing retail that's really no longer viable due to the highway relocation that happened in the 90s. It's surrounded by highway and dramatically varying land uses. You have intense office, high-rise, you have sort of medium-density office, you have parking, you have some more commercial, and then you have residential. So it is prime for a transitional site from a planning 101 perspective. Transitional site is transitioning from that intense commercial and office to that residential. So we're going to talk about what types of uses really are good on those transitional, those unique sites. It includes some extraordinary redevelopment costs that are part of this and that are unique to this site. An existing pipeline, obviously demolishing the existing infrastructure and building, the retaining wall, etc.
Could I interrupt for 1 second, please?
Yes,
Just
Mr.
go back to
Mayor.
that slide.
Yes, sure.
I just want to ask Mr. Spencer, if, for my own education, to be sure that, is bullet point 3 correct?
That's not incorrect. No. It's a transitional site.
But it's a one of a kind.
One of a kind site.
Yes, for our city.
I think it's fair to say that it's unique.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we kind of took a look at all the uses that could be on this site as a transitional site in the city. And one of the uses it could be, or you might see, is low density, single family, large lot residential community. But it really cannot be that because of the intense commercial that surrounds it, the highway that surrounds it. It's just not the best use for, it's not the best site for a luxury large lot residential community. There are lots of opportunities for that in your city that look gorgeous and that are wonderful. This is just not one of them because of the intensity of the commercial and the highway that surround it. It is not suited for that type of residential development. It also could be multifamily, and we see an example of that exact transitional site just to the south. Just to the south of Manderley lies the Willow Bend community, which is a very dense multifamily community. And you can see in that picture there, just to the south of that is starting the commercial part, a lot of commercial in the city of Town and Country. So this is a perfect example of that transitional use between single family Manderley to the north and commercial to the south, with a more dense residential use buffering the two uses. You can kind of see that picture we took with the yellow there. Actually, you can kind of, well, no, it's the middle picture, sorry. You can see the garage, and you can actually see from the streets in Manderley the tops of those buildings. So it works. It's a dense project, but it's a good transitional use to buffer between those two. It can also be senior living. There are so many examples of using senior living in the city. There's so many in De Pere. This one's in Chesterfield. This one is using a senior high-dense project to buffer between the white home you see, which is larger lots, single-family residential in Chesterfield Mall. There are so many examples of using senior living housing as a buffer between single-family and commercial uses around our metropolitan area. Could also be institutional uses, like we saw in the Maryville project. That was opposed by the surrounding residents and ultimately failed for reasons I'm not familiar with, but it failed. Replacing existing commercial. So you could take this existing commercial site and replace it with commercial, but the problem with that is that in its current state, it cannot attract tenants. So you really have to create a destination type retail, a larger retail destination center. That's going to create a lot of traffic, which I know the residents have been vocal against that type of volume and traffic. So what's left? What's left is a mixed-use lifestyle community. It's a denser, single-family, detached, high-quality luxury product with a restaurant as an amenity to both the business employees that live in the area, the new residents that will live in this lifestyle community, and the existing city residents. So why does a single-family community lifestyle work here? It's compatible with all the surrounding uses, and we see examples of that, like we just talked about, where higher density or medium density residential is a good transitional use. It's compatible with the commercial and the single-family to the single-family existing residential to the south. It fulfills that transitional buffer between those two uses. It's supported by the neighboring residents, the people that are most impacted by this site and by this project. It does not increase traffic. It takes an eyesore and adds a significant amount of green space, new landscaping, and signature architecture. It does not set a precedent for other developments in Town and Country. I'm not aware of any other site like this that is surrounded by such intense commercial on three-quarter side and residential to the south. And it provides a nice green landscape gateway to the city. The 2020 comprehensive plan identifies this site as being one of the most distressed of the community's 7 existing retail centers, the most distressed. It identifies this property as one of 4 main focus areas and is suited for planned development, calling for a restaurant on this particular site. The comprehensive plan also discusses in detail the fact that residents want homes with smaller lots as an alternative to the housing in Town and Country to lessen the burden of maintenance, but not sacrificing on that luxury home. So before I present the plan, I wanted to kind of just give a little bit of history, because for those in the room who aren't familiar with the latest plan, I just kind of want to take a minute just to walk through the changes. When we first submitted this plan several months ago, I want to talk about that, and we've been through 2 rounds of changes The most recent changes you're gonna see this evening have not been presented before. They've been discussed with some of the residents because we wanted to keep them informed, but they have not been presented in any formal format until this evening. So the first changes that we did make to the plan were about a month ago. We originally submitted the plan with 8 single-family detached homes. We reduced that to 72. We increased the green space previously from 42 to 48. We added landscaping, identified guest parking, increased. We heard the planning commission wanted more distance between homes, so we increased the distance between homes to 10 feet. We also increased the lot width based upon planning commission comments, added 3 additional feet there. And we limited, based upon resident feedback from the Cedar Springs adjacent property owners, we limited several of the homes that were in close proximity to them from 3-story to 2-story. The latest changes, so these are the new ones that are being presented here tonight, and I'll show you them on the plan. We further reduced the density, the number of lots, the number of homes from 72 to 68. What that means, if you look at the total impact column, that's an overall reduction in density since we submitted this of 15%, which is very significant. We've increased green space. We've concentrated, I'm going to show you, we strategically chose where to reduce the density to change and reduce these lots so that we could have a greater impact with green space along the roads and have a better impact with our Cedar Springs neighbors to the south. So I will show you that. We added an additional public art feature. So we are going to have 2 public art features in very strategic places. We added additional landscaping, so now we are at 901 new trees and shrubs planted on this site. We increased guest parking by 28 spaces, so now we're at a total of 73 guest parking spaces. That is in addition to each home will have a 2-car garage. So that is not including the 2-car garage, that is not including any restaurant parking, that is truly guest parking for when somebody has a party, Super Bowl event, that type of thing. And I'll show you where those are on the plan next. And we increased the 2-story home buffer, so along the southern line with Cedar Springs. So we made quite a number of dramatic changes. Like I said, we have met with several of the residents that are most impacted by this and shared this with them. They were very, very pleased. They were in favor of the plan already, but even more pleased after we presented these latest changes to them. So this is what I'll call the middle plan. This is not the plan that we submitted with the 80. This is the previous plan. I'm only going to show it to you because I want to, when I show you the next plan, I want you to see that these 2 lots right here, 57 and 58, have been eliminated on the plan. And I'll show you why in a second. And then lots number 7 and 42 have also been eliminated, again, strategically to help with our neighbors on Cedar Springs to the south. And then we've added parking. So now I'm going to present the plan that's before you this evening. And I'm going to take you, just walk around. First, I'm going to summarize the changes just for those who are curious, and then we'll walk around the plan. But you can see where those 2 lots were right here. What that allowed us to do, we strategically chose to eliminate those 2 lots. What that allowed us to do is create this beautiful park-like scenic drive of continuous now, going from all the way north to south, east along the site. Continuous, densely planted green space, park-like atmosphere. We had the original location for the public art feature right there. We're keeping that. But what we did was we added another public art feature. We had those 2 homes to really give it that park-like atmosphere, that really good greenscape buffer as you drive down these roads. We're also going to have that white rail fence to give it that town and country feel along there to really make it that park-like scenic ride as a driver is driving down the road or a pedestrian walking. The other place we reduced the units, the homes, the lots was right here. And you can see that we've transitioned that into guest parking. I'm going to show you where the other guest parking is in a second. So one of the things we met with our Cedar Springs neighbors is they wanted to see the lot that we removed and 7, 8, and 9 limited to 2-story homes. We agreed to that and wanted to work with them. So what we did was we decided, well, as long as we're going to eliminate a lot, let's just eliminate one of those structures too to help our neighbors to the south. And they were very pleased with that, with this change. So that allowed us to create that additional parking that gets us to that 73 spaces. And you can see we've created some more parking, guest parking up here as well. So all along the site, we have parking, we get to that 73 spaces. So you can see that nice green landscape buffer. Let's talk about the restaurant for just a second. The restaurant is 1.8 acres of the site. It's about a 4,300 square foot restaurant with a 600 square foot patio. It has 98 parking spaces, which are not included and not going to be used by the residential community. What's great is it creates that walkability internal to the site. That's really part of that lifestyle feel. That lifestyle feel is you want to cluster the homes, foster that community, that spontaneous gathering. Let's go have a glass of wine on the patio together. I see Joe Smith out on his porch. Let's go. That's part of the feel for these types of communities. When you have larger lots, it's hard to see that Joe's out on his front porch and wants to have a glass of wine. So that's really part of that lifestyle concept here that we're going for, is that this is a community, we want gathering, informal, formal. We want the use of that restaurant several times a week by folks walking to it, enjoying it. The southern part of the site we wanted to concentrate on as well. And we met with our neighbors to the south and asked, what would you like to see here? And they chose a wall plus dense landscaping. And we completely agree with that. We're going to continue that wall along the western portion of the site next to that MoDOT building as well. So that is the site and the site plan. The public benefit, there's been some questions about the public benefit and some discussion. What we did was we tried to enhance that green area, make that a continuous green area along the roads there to give that park-like feel when we changed the plan with the less density this time. Again, over 900 new trees and shrubs will be planted on this site. It fulfills two of the city's comprehensive plan goals by turning the city's most distressed property into a lush lifestyle community. People can walk, gather, go to the restaurant. It delivers on the residents' requests in the comp plan for smaller lots with luxury homes. It creates a neighborhood restaurant, which will add to the city revenue. And it actually replaces, there's been some preliminary calculations done by your staff that the restaurant revenue will actually equal or maybe perhaps slightly exceed the existing revenue on sales tax coming off of this center right now. It's a lifestyle community. We talked about this, the smaller lots to maintain without sacrificing that luxury in that home. The populous neighborhood creates a vibe. It creates that walkability, that community atmosphere, encouraging that gathering. The planned communities with smaller lots allow more strategic green space. Instead of large lawns, we have strategic green space where we emphasize that gateway to the city with that greenscape and that art. Is an ideal location for quick access with highways and major collector roads. There's a concept rendering of what it will look like with these nice landscaping, the green space out in front of the homes. This is along the road, and that fence. So I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that we wanted to work with Dick Bush, signature architecture here. I can say that we have advanced with Dick Bush and started coloring these renderings and really putting them to fruition. It's really exciting for us at McBride. These are new renderings for us. These will be used, be an exclusive renderings for the city of Town and Country. It's so exciting. I'm just like in love with these renderings. They're really cool with the chimney on the front, and it's just a really cool concept. Carrying forward some of those architectural elements on the back and rear, as you can see. And there's just some more of those elevations that show some of the 3-story concepts. Really high-end materials, hardy siding, and all of our customers will get to go to our award-winning design studio to pick out all of their options and some selections at the studio and really make the home luxury in their own. It's really a fun process. The garages. So little concept pictures of the restaurants. We did consult with Boaty. They're a land planner, and they helped us. McBride obviously is in the restaurant business, so we needed some idea of how much land dedicate to the restaurant, how much square footage a restaurant like this would need, how much patio space and parking. So we have run that through the experts, and this was their advice, what we put forth on the plan. These are some conceptual renderings of the look that we're trying to achieve with this restaurant, with the patio. Again, creating that walkability where residents, both inside the community and outside the community, and particularly employees of the businesses, there are so many businesses that surround here, can feel comfortable. It's a neighborhood restaurant, gather. So the site is zoned commercial right now. We are requesting a rezoning to a planned non-residential category that was just discussed earlier this evening, in the previous public hearing. It's approved by a site-specific zoning ordinance, which has been drafted and before you. And our proposed plan meets the criteria for this zoning category. This is a summary of the zoning requests, which I won't read to you, but it is in as the city clerk mentioned, it is part of the exhibits this evening. But it does meet all of the zoning requests. We talked about the public purpose, the public need. It fulfills the comprehensive plan goals. It creates that park-like atmosphere. It takes a site that is really in need of a creative redevelopment and creates this lifestyle community. This community that you rarely have an opportunity to create in these circumstances. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime really opportunity to create this lifestyle community. If you're going to do it, this is the site to do it at, that transitional site. We are very excited to have this opportunity to present this to you this evening. In conclusion, we take this obsolete shopping center and we're creative with it. We create this lifestyle community. And this is most importantly also supported by the surrounding residents. We are very pleased that the folks that are most impacted by this, we've met with on many, many occasions, and they're supportive. And we're grateful for their discussions and their meetings and their time that they've given us. And it's a great land use planning technique as a transitional use between these uses. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. We have an entire team with us, and thank you very much.
Before I open it to the board, just a couple of quick questions. What's the price range for these homes, roughly?
The price range of the homes, you might see them start in the 6s, but I think you'll see them go up to the 9s
Okay.
after people put the options and selections.
And just curious in terms of the demographics, honestly, at my age, I'm looking more at independent living than a 3-story house. So I was just wondering, when projects are like this, is it young professionals who buy it, or who's the market for these homes? I'm just curious.
So when we built this type of floor plan, similar floor plans before, again, these elevations, this architecture has not been done before. We really get a variety of people. We get people who are downsizing. This is their they're downsizing, right? So they are retirees. We get people that are young professionals. We get families. We get all of it. And that's what's so dynamic and creates that lifestyle community, is that all different types of stages of life are at all points in your life. It creates this dynamic, fun community. Jake, do you have anything else on that?
Oh, literally, it's an open, wide cast net. That's our demographic for this and experience, especially with this product type. But yeah, it's meant for everybody. It's meant for that starter family. It's meant for that downsizer. It's meant for that second home. It's meant for the growing family. I mean, that's what's so unique about it.
Can I have your first and last name?
Jake Aldermen.
All right, I'm going to open it up to the board, and Alderman Murphy.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you all for coming out for the presentations and all that, to the community as well for showing up en masse. Just a handful of questions. You mentioned a lot of meetings with the residents. Might be tough to get a hard number, but just going to get a sense of quantifying how many residents do you think you met with? And I'm assuming mainly from Cedar Springs and Mandalay?
That's correct.
And ballpark?
Look, some were in Zooms, and some were a lot were in person. I would say directly with Zooms and in persons, we probably met with about 30 to 40 people. Yes.
Okay. One of the things that I think all of the people on the board have been getting a lot of communication. One of the things I've heard, an attribution being applied to the neighbors is that they're feeling weary of the whole process. Did you get a sense of any weariness that, hey, it's something, at least I can make a decision on?
I did not. I got a sense of weariness when they talked about the previous application for Maryville. There was a lot of very hard feelings about that project. But our project, I did not. I mean, we heard some concerns in the beginning, but we have met and addressed those concerns. That was very important to us. I personally did not get that weariness.
Have you seen participation drop off? On that?
No, in fact, get stronger.
Some people accuse this of being tract housing. Do you call it tract housing?
No.
How would you define tract housing?
I don't know how I would define tract housing. I think those are other people's terms, and I think everybody has a different definition for it. But what I want to emphasize about this community is that it is a luxury product in a lifestyle community. And I want to emphasize that again. This is different, I understand, than most of the communities in town and country. But that's by design. It's by design to create that community, that walkability, that I want to know my neighbor, I want to talk to my neighbor, I want to gather with my neighbor.
A few questions on the property itself. I just want to clarify. I believe I saw a sidewalk along the main road wrapping around the whole property. Is that accurate? Making me dizzy here.
I'm sorry, close your eyes for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we see sidewalk.
All right, so
Right there.
wrapping around the whole property. Okay, and you do have public art there. I know
Yes,
it's
we have.
very early in the process. Any idea about the height of that public art, and will it be visible over whatever fencing and trees there are?
We want it to be visible from the road. We do, because we want to invest in this public art and make it a feature and really make it so it is visible, because that's sort of the point of putting it near the road, is that it can be visible. I don't have an indication on height, but we really want to emphasize visibility of those two features.
And one neighbor I've not heard anything about, I know it's very few people in there, would be the Sisters of St. Peter Claver. Have they voiced any thoughts on this hill?
I am not aware of that.
And you mentioned the restaurant being lined up. Do you have candidates in mind for that restaurant?
We have not had active discussions with a restaurant user at this point. We want to make sure the site's approved for it before we go have those active discussions. But we're very open to concepts, and we understand the need for that neighborhood walkability feel, and that's kind of what we're achieving, something local, you know.
Like a lot of the folks around, I attended the planning and zoning meetings as well. Probably the biggest theme out of that was density. And I did notice that you went from 80 to 72 down to 68. You mentioned a 15% drop. I also heard the price tags are going up. At the 80, I think it was around 600 to 700 is the range that I heard, and now it's 600 to 900. So is it fair to assume that as the quantity goes down, the price tags are going to go up? I mean, you have to make money out of business proposition, I understand.
A little bit, I think that's a little bit of a fair assumption.
How low can you go?
Well, I mean, to be, this price is right,
Remember, on density.
To be, I'm gonna be very candid, in this answer. We couldn't have done either one of those just gotta get ahead of myself. Either one of those density reductions without working with our seller for a price reduction. When we came to the, city with 80, that was what economically worked for our project, along with all of the other things I discussed that need to create that lifestyle community. But we had to work with our seller for, to be quite honest, getting concessions in price to get to that 68. I don't think he is here tonight, he can answer that. I know that we're probably paying less than previous contracts, and I think he's probably at his limit. So I think we're as low as we can go.
Yeah, I would never interfere with your negotiation program here. So, the last set of questions, I'm not sure if you would be best answering, maybe Mr. Spencer. Roughly ballpark about how many of our lots in town and country are 1 acre or more?
70%.
70%, so 70-30 split. Thank you.
Alderman Weasley.
Thank you. appreciate the presentation at the meeting last week. I repeat some of the same questions and topics that we went over, just to have them on the record. Going back to the restaurant, can you kind of explain a little bit more how you got to the point of you know, this size restaurant, or what your vision was for, I understand the walkability, and the, you know, having that, you know, part of the community, but was there any discussion of additional, you know, developments other than residential, or that restaurant that you had?
Well, we knew from the city's comprehensive plan and from discussions with people in the community that a restaurant was wanted on this site, both for the business uses and the residents that live around here. So restaurant was kind of always part of our theme when we went to design the site, just from that feedback and seeing it in the comprehensive plan as well. We are not experts in restaurant design or what restaurants need for land planning. So we did consult with a land planner, Bodie, in this instance, to give us a lot of feedback and advice. They design a lot of restaurants for a lot of developers. And so we relied on them to come up with the numbers, the amount of square footage, the amount of seats, the amount of patio, because we really encourage that outdoor feel too. So a patio is important to us as a complement to the homeowners that will live there. So we relied on their expertise. They've done a lot of restaurants for a lot of developers in the area.
And then who will own the restaurant?
We, in all likelihood, we will subdivide that parcel off and sell that to the restaurants. We will not likely own that restaurant. It won't likely be a lease situation, but that's still to be determined.
And then lastly, I mean, I understand like it wouldn't set a precedent. I mean, you might see some of my concerns from the questions I asked earlier. You know, this would be the units per acre, the largest number of units per acre that the city would approve in the history, by more than twice as what we've ever approved. And it might not set a precedent of 7 units per acre, but it sets the bar of where above the under 3 that we were at before. And so it might not set a precedent of 7 units per acre, but I have those concerns of having that set, you know, a higher window that it can be used, which is kind of my other thought of, has there been any other proposed uses for the site, other than just the restaurant, to offset, again, for a non-residential development? I appreciate what you're doing here, but for a non-residential development, to have 84% of it residential, and I understand the code is named it, maybe it's improperly named, but it is what it is when we have other residential codes. It's hard to kind of differentiate between that when there's that much of it being used for residential.
So, and I understand your question. There are other sites in the city, although maybe not approved by the city, but exist in the city, Willow Bend, like we talked about earlier in the presentation, and others that have more density than this site and work. They work as a transition between intense commercial, which is what we're dealing with here, and residential. So they work, and we can see lots of examples of that working. And this isn't far off from the density that was approved for the Pulte development in Ticonderoga. I know they didn't build to that density, but it's close to what was approved for that. So it's not out of character for the area, particularly when we see dense residential, very close proximity to this, and it works. It's compatible, it's a good transition use. The restaurant we knew was important based upon community feedback and the comprehensive plan identifying it as so. Other commercial we've seen just probably isn't viable here. And we've seen that with the other proposals, whether informal or formal, they failed to get to this point where we are today.
Just for reference, the Pulte you're referring to Town Country Crossing?
Yes.
Okay, and I think that's less than 3, and so that's where That's where, just kind of having that comparison. I agree with Will, Bend is much more dense, but not single family homes, that's the differentiator. What was annexed in, built outside of city code is not saying that it couldn't be approved today, but it wasn't, it was brought into the city as opposed to the city approving town, country, estates and
I think the Crossings was approved for 60 units to the acre.
It was 180 units on 30 acres. Kate Statute with Stock and Associates.
Thanks.
I think the important thing is you see that it works. You have a unique site, a site with so many constraints that are unique to this site. You see that it can work.
Alderman Stein, you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, very nice presentation, thank you. And we are voted in by current residents, so this might take more of a viewpoint of people that currently live here and what they're looking for. And I've lived here since 1967. My family moved here a long time ago. The thing I hear over and over again is we'd like to see more multifamily housing in the city of Town and Country because we don't have enough, and if we want to downsize, there aren't a lot of options, right? Fairfield being one, there's just a handful, right, of condos within the city. So these being questions, do they have basements?
Yes,
They do. First floor masters.
no.
Okay, is there any consideration to an elderly population that wants first floor masters?
So this floor plan would not likely accommodate that option.
Elevator?
They could do an elevator. I think we've done an elevator and a couple of other products with this floor plan.
So would that
They
be
could
on
do-
the list of things they could choose if they wanted to?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not a fan of the restaurant. I think restaurants come and go. And I think other ways to draw community would be a clubhouse, pickleball, tennis courts, a swimming pool. I think there's other ways to draw community that are more permanent. And if anybody's ever lived by a restaurant, you live in the city of Chicago, they're not fun, they're stinky, they make noise. And even though this is by the highway, it's a totally different noise when you're waking up by a trash truck at 5 in the morning. So not a fan of the restaurants. So have you looked at anything like a clubhouse, pickleball court, swimming pool, a gathering spot,
Yeah.
similar to that?
So there's a lot of amenities that people, what we find is in communities like this where it's located in a city with a lot of great amenities, people choose to use those other amenities and not so much want to pay more assessments for amenities that are sort of doubling up. And what we heard, I hear you on your concerns about the restaurant, but what we try to do is buffer that with that green space you can see here, give some distance between that restaurant and those homes. What we heard time and time again was folks that live there now and business owners for their employees really wanted a restaurant and eating option here for lunch and for dinner. So we heard that a lot. So that's what drove a lot of our thought process for that.
And I would tell you, I know pickleball courts can be pretty loud. That could be
Effectively a whole other issue.
the issue, they don't.
I was just trying to catch how do you take you did a nice plea about walkability and community, and I just think there's other options besides a restaurant to foster that. And I'm thinking, Fairfield in particular, because I know my parents have friends that live there that have 3 swimming pools, and they gather at the pools, and they have barbecues, and there's another option. I did another question about a computer one. Okay, so elevator's an option.
Yes.
More brick. Fit more in the character using brick.
So we have a lot of
That adds
elevations.
significantly more to the cost. And brick in the garages. So brick, just more brick.
Yeah, we're definitely these aren't final, we're gonna work with ARB on these, but we did carry brick through. You can kind of see on some of on the rear side and on the side elevations. And so like you can see this is a mostly brick front where we're gonna carry that brick, but what we like is the variety, and again, we're gonna use that hardy siding. There's stone here, there's brick, there's a lot of variety in the elevations. This is even a white brick right there.
Yeah. No, the brick in front looks nice. I was thinking more like the sides, just to look more permanent, more like a community of townhouses.
Yeah.
That I think would be more indicative of the city than not.
Good point.
Yeah. And the other thing I would add too, since I once had a young family, now they're all in college, and I have an elderly mother, none of them would like to walk in the rain from their garage to their house. Have you looked at an option that included an attached garage or some type of, I don't know how you would lay it out, that the garage would be more attached?
We have some products that are similar, but this product, the way it's designed, we have actually, again, not this architecture and these elevations, this is unique to the city. We've sold similar products in other places, and it's actually, people love having that green space right in between, that little bit of their own yard, because like I talked about lifestyle community here, you wanna foster that community, but you also want your little piece of your own barbecue.
I totally get that, I'm thinking of, you guys said it would attract people of all ages.
Yeah.
A young father and mother trying to schlep 3 kids in through the rain or the snow would not be preferable, nor would an elderly resident who is afraid of slipping in the rain or snow or whatever also want to go from their garage to a house without cover.
So we've had, the market's been very receptive to this, we haven't had issues with that, but it's probably not for everybody, understand your point.
Yeah, and the last thing I would ask, is there anything similar that if we want to see it, we can drive by? Or is it so unique?
I think, we've built this floor plan in several other locations in the St. Louis area. But this is really a unique project. Those projects have really their own features and their own purposes. One was sort of an infill project on the hill. You talk about walkability to restaurants. Wow, you got a great selection there, right?
Yeah. Is this the one by Charlie's Market? Is that yours? By Charlie's Deli?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that can help.
Yeah.
I do know.
But that was a different plan, but similar floor plans. And that sold very, very well. That has the detached garage. Also built this when we partnered with Deerbirds on the Crestwood project. That sold very well, but again, that's a different type of feel of community. We definitely
Is
want.
it first one's detached garages?
Yes,
It is.
yes.
Okay.
And no problem selling it. There's definitely a market for it and people who like it, that like that feel and that look. And it worked in those 2 locations. We strongly believe that it'll work here. But those are different plans that fulfill different goals in those cities. This is a different plan that fulfills, we hope, goals for this city.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's an option for a covering or just something that might appeal to a broader audience and current residents that are looking for that downsized option with some walk under cover from garage. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Well, Alderman Kinsella. Thank you, Mayor. I had the advantage of participating in the P&Z meeting, so I got an opportunity to listen to a lot of the conversations surrounding this project, both positive and negative. But one of the things I thought was going to be important to this as we go forward is the HOA indentures. How long does the land company control the discussion there? And so, if, for example, you're going to restrict fencing or pets in some fashion or what have you, how is all of that going to be controlled by the land company?
It's a great question, and I want to thank you because I forgot to mention something in my presentation that I did want to mention. So if I could start with that, and then I'm going to close out with answering your question. There will be a homeowners association here, and let me start by answering your question. The homeowners associations are created of record. You might have heard of indentures, you might live with indentures, we call them a declaration, is sort of the new term, but they're recorded before any home is sold, they're disclosed to homeowners before so they can review them before and decide, hey, is this the right community for me, do they have fencing, do they have pool restrictions, things like that. So what's great about that from a community value protection standpoint is those are on record forever, as long as the community exists. And those contain the types of things that you just discussed. The number of pets that are permitted per household, the type of fence. And what we propose here is to limit it to one type of fence, the black aluminum, so it's all unique, sort of low maintenance feature, no vinyl, no other types of wood fences, nothing like that. So it's very unique, low maintenance, but very aesthetically pleasing with that type of fence. Those are of record, so those go on forever. It would take 80% of the owners, which in my career, I've never seen 80% of the owners vote. You never get 80% of people to sign to approve something like that. I see some heads nodding. So it's virtually almost impossible, I won't say impossible, to change it after we're gone. Because so we're very proud of our communities. We want to make sure that there are certain aesthetics that are maintained long after we're gone. Architecture, fencing, those types of things are very important. The thing I did not mention during my presentation, and I'm glad you asked this question, is what we've decided to do here, unlike our other communities, and we got this idea actually from our Cedar Springs neighbors. They said this works very well, and we love the idea, is that the fronts of the homes will be uniformly maintained by the homeowners association. So they will be maintained, trimmed, mowed, so that all looks very uniform as you're driving down the roads. The backs of the homes, we're kind of allowing them to fence in case they have a dog. They want a barbecue grill, something like that, a little bit of their own privacy, right, as part of that community. So they'll maintain their own rear yard, but the fronts will be uniformly maintained, which I think is a really cool concept. That's what Cedar does. Does that answer your question, Alderman?
It does, thank you.
Alderman Harder.
Just a couple of questions. I noted that you did the traffic study with CBP. They said that this project would not have any significant increase on traffic and there'd be no road improvements or changes on like Woods Mill. And then I was reading through the thing and it says that we'll need to implement changes as required by MoDOT. Has MoDOT signed off on this, that the roads are fine for this particular development?
So I'm going to give you an answer, and then Jeremy or our traffic consultant will probably correct me, but the traffic study's been submitted to MoDOT. It is under review, and we're hopeful that based upon the recommendations that our traffic consultant CBB gave, that MoDOT's approval will be in alignment. But no, the final approval from MoDOT has not been given. Is that accurate?
Okay, so that there could be something from MoDOT that says we have to add roundabouts or lanes or something like that. It's possible, but not probable.
I would say it's very unlikely, but it's still a slight possibility because the final approval hasn't been given. But I just don't think that we're headed in that direction based upon what CBB found.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then another question I've got is, should it be approved, when would you anticipate beginning this project?
So,
I'm not asking for a date, but
it's next spring, maybe break ground, or
Yeah.
spring break ground. And then the build out for all the homes, what would you project, like 3 years? About 3 years to build out all the homes?
okay, so you would sell the properties first and then build, and so they can select their.
So we do both.
We do a mixture, so we do allow buyers to select and design their own homes, but at the same time, we will do what we call market homes, inventory homes,
Mhm.
where we will build the homes as well. So in our business, we do about 50-50 of those. So we will start right away when we can with homes.
Okay. So you would think the whole project would take maybe 3 years or so?
I think from start of the development through the land development, through the construction, 3 years is the timeline for the whole.
Okay. I don't like that.
Thank you. Alderman Stein, did you have another?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had one follow-up.
Sure.
Will the roads and the alleyways be public or private?
The roads will be public, everything will be private, all private, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Murphy.
Thank you. Just one question and clarification on MoDOT. I'm glad you brought that up, Alderman Margaret. That traffic study was based on 80 houses, right?
That's correct,
And
yes.
now it's at 68. Will you be amending that study or?
Yes, we're looking at that right now. We're gonna do an addendum, the results will obviously be even better. But yes, thank you for pointing that out. That's true.
Alderman Schwer.
Can staff talk about like the current revenue, like sales tax revenue compared to like what a future property tax the restaurant would generate?
So Mr. Spencer actually ran the numbers, and as she stated, the one restaurant that's proposed here would generate as much as the center is currently generating.
But then the
Any property tax on top of that, at the assessed value, would be in addition to, what's being generated there now, which obviously there's no property tax. So they would pay property tax, correct?
Okay. Any other comments from the board? Alderman Leeshan.
One quick question, just on the point of the private roads. They'd be private, not gated, correct?
They will be gated, no.
All right, I've got several people who asked to speak. I will just call names in the order that the city clerk handed this to me, and would appreciate people to be respectful of the 3-minute time limit. First one, and I apologize if I mispronounced someone's name, Julie Ledlow.
Timer.
I'll just stick it up.
He will ring a bell when it is the.
I'm the timer, 3 minutes.
Oh, man, can I get my phone and
Yes,
sign myself so I can see?
absolutely.
I think last time the timer was working, and I can watch this.
We're not really gonna tase you. Just a general recommendation is all I'm trying to do.
Literally.
Floor opens up.
Hi, I'm Julie Ledlove. I live at 730 Cedarfield Court. I've lived there for over 10 years. I've lived in town and country for over 20 years. And I've actually been frequenting the strip center, Woods Mill Center, pretty much since it was developed. Seen movies there, used to frequent the video store, bought boutonnieres from Fleur's, which my science teacher owned. I went to Parkway Central. Bought pets at the pet store. My daughter took dance lessons at Miss Kim's, and I took real estate classes. But the only thing, recently, I would be at Massa's maybe once every week or two, and every once in a blue moon go to Quick Copy. So the strip center, obviously, even though I live right there, is not working. But I definitely am very much in favor of the McBride development. And I'm also very much in favor of having a restaurant like Massa's. I very much miss Massa's. I never heard any noise from Massa's. I never hear any from Dave's World Famous, but I do hear the garbage truck when it comes in the morning. I think the restaurant will really be needed to help create the sense of community. And I love having my attached garage, but I actually have elderly people who are friends of ours who live in Conway Springs and those condos, and for some reason they love their detached garage, so it just goes to show you. All right, I think I'm done.
Thank you very much.
1 minute 50.
Let's say, that's outstanding. Ron Baum.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Board of Aldermen. I'd like to challenge the board to evaluate this without looking at all the, I don't know what it is on the P and Z. We had a project last year. The residents were against the project. P and Z thought it was the greatest thing going. Now we have another project. P and Z says this is absolutely not the best way to go, and the residents are in favor of it. I would like to mention all the notes that the lady was reading that she had got for and against this project. There were quite a few people who were against this project that did not have their addresses given. And I assume those are members of the P and Z board that didn't. So when you're looking at, who's in favor, who's against it, you might want to weigh what the P and Z votes. They voted twice, once in their board, and now they're voting by their voice. To make all parties, let me go take a step back. This piece of property has very limited usability. And if it's not approved by the board, we could either turn it into a farm, or even better, we could turn it into another town and country park. Our parks are very popular. There's no reason why we shouldn't have another park. And the answer would be given to me, we don't have the money. well, we don't pay any real estate taxes in town and country, and the minimum amount of real estate per house would generate a tremendous amount of funds for our parks. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baum. Mr. Tom Stern.
Good evening. I'm Tom Stern, managing member of the ownership group of Woods Mill Center. We built the shopping center in the mid-70s in unincorporated St. Louis County and have been corporate citizens of Town and Country since the property was annexed into the city. The relocation of Highway 141, new retail development in the city along Clayton Road, and subsequent economic conditions have made the shopping center obsolete. We've had 5 contracts for the property over the last several years, only to have the city deny the use of the 11.5 acres for apartments, senior living, mixed use, including a hotel and an esports arena. City staff and several elected officials met with us after the most recent rejection and suggested that single-family residential would have support. That seems to be the case here with the exception of the Planning and Zoning Commission. I would reiterate what has been said before, this is a unique site. Last month, I had the opportunity to participate in the Planning and Zoning meeting with regard to the McBride Homes proposal to rezone the 11.5 acres on the southwest quadrant of Highways 141 and 4064. The meeting could best be described as, don't confuse us with facts, our mind is made up. The commission, which approved a proposal for a 2,600-seat esports arena, was approved by a vote of 8-1 in spite of neighborhood opposition. And this proposal, which was supported by the neighbors, was denied by a vote of 6-3. Many neighbors spoke in favor of McBride's plan and none spoke in opposition. The chairman of the commission remarked that in his 10 years on planning and zoning had that kind of support occurred. He then voted no. Commissioners noted that no public benefit would result from the rezoning, in spite of the fact that public art and additional landscaping was included on the north side along South Outer 40 Road, and it has now been expanded to the east. I'm unaware of any public benefit that has come from a single-family residence in residential subdivision in the city prior to this. Commissioners expressed concern about visitor parking, although 72 spaces of on-street parking are included in the site plan and has since been amended. I believe this is typical of most subdivisions of the city. I'm unaware of any that have parking garages for visitors. One commissioner opined that traffic from this single-family subdivision would be more than double that of the proposed esports arena. I don't believe he is a professional traffic engineer, and I would love to see how he came up with that information. Totally bogus. The professional traffic engineer who worked on this project with McBride has determined that there will be no impact on the roads surrounding the site, and therefore is not recommending any major improvements which would have been required with more intense use. I urge the Board of Aldermen to approve McBride's use and site plan, as no other use of the site seems possible. I thank you.
Thank you. Diana Hoffman.
Good evening, I'm Diana Hoffman, I live at 13309 Manor Hill Road. And here's for something different. Maybe we need to change our town and country to Levittown and country. I'm wondering how this affects our property values of people that have houses in town and country.
So can you talk in the microphone?
This is better. Do you want me to start over?
That's okay.
How does it affect the value of our homes, people that have 1 acre or more? And in the future, if this is approved, what prevents my neighbor who has 1.5 acres from tearing down their house and getting, that's 1 acre, so you're putting 6 or 7 houses on 1 acre, of them putting in 6 or 7 houses. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Rockwell.
Hi, I'm Sharon Rothmel, 725 Craffle Lane and Manderley subdivision. I'm a subdivision trustee, but I'm speaking only for myself and my husband Steve. The plans before you represent significant changes by the developer since the Planning and Zoning Commission's review, including reduction in numbers of homes from the original 80 to 68, green space now a minimum of 48%, concentrated along South Outer 40 and South Woods Mill roads, 73 designated guest parking spaces, increased lot width and distance between homes, and more than 900 new trees and shrubs. Next, we urge you to approve the McBride proposal. It's good for both the city and for nearby residents. It's good for the city for many reasons. My time is brief, so here are a few. It will remove a deteriorated, defunct shopping center that's fallen into disrepair. Instead, the property will generate income for the city, with sales tax long-term from the restaurant and building permit fees and grading permit fees shorter-term. New residents will buy at our stores and eat at our restaurants, further increasing sales tax revenue. With the new city property tax, the development will generate even more income for the city. McBride has stated that starting price points will be $600,000 to $700,000 times 68 at the assessment will equal a good amount of property tax. The development will add new residents to the city with the vibrancy that new ideas can bring. Further, I believe that there is some city income generated on a capitation basis, so new residents will also increase our bottom line. Unlike other potential uses for the site, such as senior living developments, apartments, offices, or hotels, these homes will be owner-occupied with the pride of place that comes along with home ownership. Unlike the previous proposal and other possible uses, the city won't have to detail police to the site to handle traffic, crime, and so on. The development's aesthetic will echo other parts of the city with extensive landscaping, white fencing, and public art, and architect-designed homes with stone and masonry finish, carriage house, garage doors, front porches, and more. It's definitely good for nearby residents. It'll be low-rise with residential streetlights, no expected noise, litter, etc. that a different kind of development would bring. It's lower density than office, medical, hotel, senior living, dormitory, commercial, event center, or other proposed or potential uses on the site. The occupants will be permanent, not transient. They'll be invested in their neighborhood and in town and country. It will not generate increased traffic, no two-lane roundabouts, no huge traffic jams. The effects of the development will not intrude into nearby subdivisions. The restaurant will be a great amenity for nearby residents. We could walk there. Thank you for your time. Please vote to approve the development.
Thank you. Karen Gadara.
Hello, I'm Karen Gadara, a resident of Manderley subdivision, living at 737 Cravel Lane. Tonight, I would like to voice my support of the McBride proposed redevelopment of Woods Mill Center. Although the size of the homes and the lots proposed are smaller than most town and country homes, they are consistent with the type of homes being built in other high-end West County subdivisions. Such developments are attractive and are a good fit for the Woods Mill Center space. Such a development is far superior to the blighted strip mall currently in Woods Mill Center. It's been difficult to find a use for this property. It is too small and inaccessible for many developments. The current proposal will not adversely affect traffic in the area, nor will it be too tall or contain lighting that might affect neighboring homes. And McBride is a well-known and respected builder of quality homes in the St. Louis region. Please approve this proposal.
Thank you. Granville, White.
Good evening and welcome to the Board of Aldermen for many of you who have not been here for more than a year. My name is Granville White. I live at 32 Summerhill Lane, Town and Country. In spite of my youth, I've lived there for 38 years, and I have to start off by saying what a very good presentation you made. I wish you were giving my speech. I do have one question for you. You had discussions with a lot of people from Mandalay and from Cedar Springs. How many people from the rest of Town and Country did you speak to? There's 11,000 people in Town and Country.
To answer the question, we didn't hold meetings with the entire city. We just focused on the people that are most impacted. We did not hold meetings with the entire city. We focused on the residents and the community that was most impacted by the site, which is what our priority was.
Okay, so that's all I have to comment on that. I'll let you draw your own conclusions on that. For some clarity, as I said, I've lived here for nearly 40 years, and I'm very familiar with the centre, and more familiar than a lot of people in this room, because I was here before they were resident in Mandalay and Cedar Springs. In fact, Mandalay wasn't built until more than mid-1995. Is that correct? And Cedar Springs, I think it started building earlier. So in other words, this centre has been like it is for the entire life of Mandalay and most of Cedar Springs. It was like it is now, then, and it's not gone, it hasn't changed very much since from the outside. We've lost a lot of title companies and things of that nature, but we haven't lost a lot of commercial things because it never was a vibrant commercial enterprise. It was always semi-business type in businesses. It might not look attractive, I don't deny that. However, I do believe to make a rapid change from what we have now to something we haven't really thought out is a mistake. It's not a new problem. Second item I have to mention is that successive city plans, including the 20-year comprehensive plan, which was approved 2 or 3 years ago, make no reference to cramped housing, none at all. As we said, this number of houses per acre, 7 per acre, doubles the amount of.
You hit your 3 minutes. No, you hit your 3.
I've hit my 3.
Yeah, if you could conclude, thanks.
I beg your pardon. I thought I was going to be.
Mr. White, thank you. Angela Alt.
Hi, everybody. I'm Angela Alt. I reside at 14232 Maderly Woods Drive, Town and Country, Missouri. And I live in Maderly subdivision. Thank you, board and mayor, for giving your time to serve the city of Town and Country. I've spoken before, so you may have heard this before. I've lived in town and country for only 8 years compared to others with my husband and 3 children. I'm in favor of McBride's proposed redevelopment of Woods Mill Center or Plaza. I have spoken with many neighbors about this, and we see the proposal as favorable for both our city and the nearby neighborhoods of Cedar Springs and Manderley. People I've spoken with since planning and zoning are surprised that it was not recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Some of the reasons that I support this plan and the neighbors I've talked with, we think it's a really beautiful plan. To me, they are pretty home sites. I like the landscaping. I think as you drive past that, it'll be great to see the park-like setting versus the heavy concrete that you see now. I'm enjoying looking at the price points for those homes, as I imagine it will help give prosperous home prices for my house as well. I've had the opportunity to drive through Cedar Springs neighborhood, because I know we almost bought into Cedar Springs when we moved back to St. Louis from doing my residency in Minnesota. And those houses are 40 years old, and the front of those houses look great because of the professionally maintained front yards. It's really nice aesthetics, which I think would also translate into this new development. Also want to say that many of the beloved 1-acre home sites in town and country are very overgrown in their landscape and less maintained than I think this proposal would have for the front yard aesthetics, which is something I find attractive in a home. I'm echoing the point that this will be much lower density compared to dorms, hotels, and marinas. And I'm excited that likely there's no need to redo roads or have any significantly increased traffic, since my backyard abuts the roundabout. For the last few years, or a couple years, I guess, year and a half, the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings have routinely stated how hard it is to find someone to buy this property, and the owner, Tom, also shared that. And surprisingly, despite very strong citizen concerns, the Maryville Esports Arena was supported by Planning and Zoning. Now, here we are with strong support from McBride's plan by the citizens. And we, despite that support, as citizens did not feel like our voices were heard or our concerns were appreciated or our support was appreciated by Planning and Zoning. So now we're here hoping for support for our interest and approval of this plan for the redevelopment of the dilapidated space that's been hard to sell for years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Alt. Fred Malin Smith.
I'm Fred Malin Smith, and I live at 1032 Woodfield Estates Drive here in Town and Country. I've been a resident for 39 years. I very much appreciate the opportunity to come and speak before you all this evening. While I am a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, I want to emphasize that I come tonight as a private citizen, and the remarks that I share are those of mine, and mine only. I think it's fair to start by saying there is universal agreement in this room that that site today is unsightly and that it needs to be totally redone. I also believe that there's broad consensus, and I concur with the people from McBride, that residential use is the best path forward. Traditional retail or office space, I think, is unrealistic and unpractical, and I think a senior care facility is not in the best interest of this city. I am not advocating for large lot luxury homes. I am advocating for residential use. I sent each one of you a detailed letter, and I've copied the mayor. I cited 2 fundamental reasons why I object and voted against this plan. The first is our law. Section 405.1705C cites 7 criteria that must be used to measure any plan that comes before this city. This plan falls considerably short or is in direct conflict with 4 of those 7 criteria embedded in our law. Specifically, Is it compatible with the comprehensive plan? There is nothing in the comprehensive plan that talks about density of this sort. In fact, our chairman of planning and zoning chaired the commission that authored the comprehensive plan, and he made reference to that. Next point, it talks about quality design and development. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but when you look at homes that are lined up as wooden soldiers, shoulder to shoulder to shoulder down the street, I question the quality design. Third, economic developments or benefits. They'll pay taxes, but we all will pay taxes. There is nothing inherently unique to this development proposal that's a benefit for the city. And lastly, public benefits. It's a shiny new replacement for what is today a tired center. That's maybe defined as a public benefit, but it is not precisely or compatible with this city. As elected officials, thank you. Mr. Beaman?
I surrender my time to Mr. Mayor Smith.
Mayor, if that's permissible?
Permissible.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move to the second reason in my letter. The density is inconsistent and incompatible with the character of our city. Now you're going to ask me, what do you mean by character? How do you define character of the city? I would say it's represented by our green space, our building setbacks, and all of the ordinances that dictate development in this city. Town and Country is a charming community, and I urge you to read the foreword of the comprehensive plan because it describes what this city's character is. But I'm going to try to put some dimension on the proposal that's before you. And I did a little bit of homework. From that wall to where I'm standing is 30 feet. Let me confirm with Mr. Stock. The traditional lot on this site is 30 feet wide and 90 feet long. Is that correct?
It's 93 and a half feet deep, 30 foot long.
Give me 36 inches. I'm 30 feet by 90 feet. If that's the side of the property line, this is where the house will be, because then it's now 5 feet from the property line. Said differently, the width of the house is from Alderman Hughes to Alderman Murphy. That's the width of the house. And if you take into consideration the front yard and assuming a depth of the house of 40 feet, the back of the house is the wall behind you, and the back of the property is where the clock is. If the garage is 15 feet, that's to here. So the backyard is from that wall to where I'm standing. That's the size of the backyard. And your neighbor is right where that wall is, and your neighbor over here is 5 feet short of that wall. So said differently, the neighbor in this house is where that projector is. So if I'm standing in the center of my backyard, the back of the house is there, the garage ends here, that's where my neighbor is. The proximity is far too dense. So let me summarize. In the estimation of this person, this is an unimaginative proposal that is tract housing. The density is far beyond what this city has allowed. And to the questions earlier from Alderman Weesahan and from the mayor, today it's unique to this lot. A stroke of the pencil could transfer this elsewhere in the city, and there are 200 undeveloped acres less than a mile east of this site on I-64. So there's a dangerous precedent that might be considered. The Planning and Zoning Commission has 90 years of service to this city, and it is that basis that led to the decision that was made. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your comments. Tad Hellman.
My name is Ted Hellman. I reside at 14236 Manderley Woods Drive. Mr. Mayor, and members of the board, thank you for your time tonight. I come before you to suggest that real estate over time moves in the direction of the highest and best use. That's an economic fact. Mr. Stern described over time the number of proposals that have not met that call. Tonight, I believe that we're at a point where we can decide on what is the highest and best use. In my personal opinion, that's the required proposal. Absent of my own opinion, I've reached out to members of the development community over the last 2.5 years and asking them what is the highest and best use. And conclusively, a number of members, highly respected members of the development community, report back that the highest and best use for Woods Mill Center is multi-use residential and commercial. That's where we are now. You can debate about the density. I would suggest to you that the picture doesn't necessarily describe what really happens there. There really are going to be about 200 people living there. Those 200 people, according to the traffic study, will generate less traffic than the center does today and the previous proposal. As residents, this is a lifestyle issue for us. We live in the backyard of what's going to happen here. This affects us directly. We are the people that are going to live with whatever goes there the most. And we support, generally speaking, the members and residents, I should say, of both Manderley and Cedar Springs support this because we believe that residential is not only in our best interest, but it's in the best interest of the seller and the buyer, because it's going to take the seller and the buyer to come together to develop a proposal that meets the challenges of this particular site that have been well articulated. I sent an email message to you that's been forwarded in which I compared all of the other options in terms of real estate development, and this is far superior to all of those. I don't want to be redundant because they're very similar to what McBride has proposed. So why is this in our best interest? Number one, these are going to be single-family, owner-occupied. That gives us confidence in stability. This is not going to be transitory, not transient. This is a long-term investment by those who purchase these homes. Second, the CBD study indicates that this will not require widening of South Woods Mill Road. It will not require additional roundabouts. It will not require expanding the current roundabout, all of which we believe are beneficial for us. Third, the price of the homes. Once these homes are constructed and the additions are made to enhance the properties, they could well touch $900,000. That is a number that's relatively attractive for us. It's a little bit less than some properties in Manderley, but it's certainly close enough that it's not really a risk for us. And lastly, we're very fortunate to have a developer of the quality and experience of McBride. They've been in this business successfully for decades. They're very well financed, and they can see this project through fully to completion. So tonight I ask you to please approve the McBride proposal. It is in the best interest of us as neighbors who are directly affected by the outcome.
Thank you for your comments. I would ask the city clerk if there have been any other members of the public fill out any other speaker sheets.
No, sir, that's all I have.
And I would now declare the public hearing closed. At this point, I would recognize the board's opportunity to provide any highlights from their commissions. Alderman Murphy.
Thank you. Just a quick note, Parks and Trails Commission report. We are going to have our second free outdoor concert this coming Friday, 6 to 8. It'll be at Town Square Park. It'll be featuring a band of rock opera. Food and drink will be offered for sale by Mission Taco, Steam Punk, Embrace the Grape, Cinnamon Crush, and Louis Cafe. Special thanks to Mission Taco for sponsoring the event as well.
I will say the first one was a resounding success. It's just quite a kind of a chilly night, so hopefully we'll get another robust turnout.
Should be good.
Alderman Zan.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention, the Police Fire and EMS Commission will meet next Tuesday, in the building in the community room, at 4:30. We'll be recognizing some new promotions and some new hires.
Thank you. Alderman Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. The Ways and Means Commission will meet Friday, May 28th. We will have a meeting before then.
June.
June 28th.
June?
June.
Well, that's better, actually. Okay, so we'll have a couple meetings, but this is a big one. The auditors will be presenting, and I think it's a good thing to mark our calendars for. Thank you.
Why not? Alderman Hughes.
Thank you, Mayor. The next meeting of the Architectural Review Board is set for Monday, June the 3rd at 5:30 here in the Municipal Center. All are welcome. Thank you.
Shall we have a report?
No report tonight.
Okay. All right, moving on to unfinished business, bill number 24-15. Sponsored by the board as a whole, without objection, with the city clerk read the bill for the second time.
Bill number 2415 is an ordinance accepting the bid of Next Level Construction for the 2024 concrete slab replacement project and authorizing an agreement for same.
Thank you. I see a motion and second to approve.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion or amendment? So that's the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Kinsella.
Aye.
Alderman Schwer.
Aye.
Alderman Hughes.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderman Weezahan.
Aye.
Alderman Harder.
Aye.
And Alderman Steinhebel.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4623.
Thank you. Next bill number 24-16, sponsored also board as a whole, without objection, with the city clerk read the bill for the second time.
Bill number 2416 is an ordinance accepting the bid and authorizing an agreement with Sweeten's Sealing Services for the 2024 crack sealing program.
Thank you. I see a motion and second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or amendment? That's the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Hughes.
Aye.
Alderman Steinhebel.
Aye.
Alderman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderman Weezahan.
Aye.
Alderman Kinsella. Alderman Harder.
Aye.
Alderman Schwer.
Aye.
And Alderman Allen.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4624.
Thank you. Next bill number 24-17, sponsored also board as a whole, without objection, with the city clerk read the bill for the second time.
Bill number 2417 is an ordinance accepting the bid of America's Parking Remarking for the 2024 pavement striping program and authorizing an agreement for same.
Thank you. I see a motion and second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks. Any discussion or amendment? That's the city clerk for roll call vote.
Alderman Weezahan.
Aye.
Alderman Harder.
Aye.
Alderman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Kinsella.
Aye.
Alderman Steinhebel.
Aye.
Alderman Hughes.
Aye.
And Alderman Schwer.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4625.
Thank you. Next bill number 24-18, sponsored by Alderman Hughes and Schwer. Without objection, with the city clerk read the bill for the second time.
Bill number 2418 is an ordinance approving a conditional use and authorizing a conditional use permit for an accessory structure, a swimming pool located at 12843 Topping Manor Drive in the city of Town and Country.
Seek a motion and second to approve.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion or amendment? That's the city clerk for roll call vote.
Alderman Schwer.
Aye.
Alderman Steinhebel.
Aye.
Alderman Weezahan.
Aye.
Alderman Hughes.
Aye.
Alderman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Harder.
Aye.
And Alderman Kinsella. The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4626.
Thank you. Next bill number 24-19, sponsored by Alderman Allen and Murphy. Without objection, with the city clerk read the bill for the second time.
Bill number 2419 is an ordinance approving a conditional use and authorizing a conditional use permit for an accessory structure, a pavilion located at 25 Muirfield Lane in the city of Town and Country.
Thank you. I seek a motion and second to approve.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or amendment? That's the city clerk for roll call vote.
Alderman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderman Weezahan.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Schwer.
Aye.
Alderman Harder.
Aye.
Alderman Kinsella.
Aye.
Alderman Steinhebel.
Aye.
And Alderman Hughes.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4627.
Next bill number 24-20, sponsored by, again, Alderman Allen and Murphy. Without objection, with the city clerk read the bill for the second time.
Bill number 2420 is an ordinance approving a conditional use and authorizing a conditional use permit For an accessory structure, a roof-mounted solar energy system facing a street located at 25 Muirfield Lane in the city of Town and Country.
Thank you. Seek a motion and second to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. Any discussion or amendment? Would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Hughes.
Aye.
Alderman Kinsella. Alderman Snipe.
Aye.
Alderman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderman Weasingham.
Aye.
Alderman Schwer.
Aye.
And Alderman Harder.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4628.
Thank you. Next, moving on to new business, we have a few of those also. Next is bill number 24-21, hopefully sponsored by Aldermen Kinsella and Harder. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2421 is an ordinance approving a conditional use and authorizing a conditional use permit for an accessory structure not enumerated in the code, a detached garage covered patio located at 18 Williamsburg Estates Drive in the city of Town and Country.
Thank you. Bill number 24-21 is continued to the meeting of Tuesday, May 28, 2024 for the second reading and consideration. And that meeting is on a Tuesday because of a holiday. Next, bill number 24-22, perhaps also by Alderman, sponsored by Alderman Kinsella and Harder. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2422 is an ordinance approving a conditional use and authorizing a conditional use permit for an accessory structure, a pool house located at 13650 Clayton Road in the city of Town and Country.
Thank you. Bill number 24-22 is continued to the meeting of Tuesday, May 28, 2024 for the second reading and consideration. Next, bill number 24-23, perhaps also sponsored by Alderman Kinsella and Harder. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2423 is an ordinance approving the fourth amended final site development plan for the development known as Town and Country Crossing, located at 1000 Town and Country Crossing Drive, with conditions to be complied with and authorizing certification of the amended final site development plan.
Bill number 24-23 is continued to the meeting of Tuesday, May 28, 2024 for the second reading and consideration. Next is bill number 24-24, also sponsored by Alderman Kinsella and Harder. Without objection, will the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2424 is an ordinance approving a record plat for South Woods Mill Estates in the city of Town and Country and authorizing the record plat to be recorded in the Office of the Recorder of Deeds of St. Louis County.
Thank you. Bill number 24-24 is continued to the meeting of Tuesday, May 28, 2024 for the second reading and consideration. Next, bill number 24-25, sponsorship of the board as a whole. Without objection, will the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2425 is an ordinance amending Title IV, Chapter 405, the zoning regulations of the Town and Country Municipal Code, specifically by the amendment of Section 405.1710.a and Section 405.1710.b regarding planned non-residential developments.
Bill number 24-25 is continued to the meeting of Tuesday, May 28, 2024 for the second reading and consideration. Next, bill number 24-26, I think also sponsored perhaps by the board as a whole. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2426 is an ordinance amending Article 23 of Chapter 405, the zoning regulations of the Municipal Code of the City of Town and Country, by enacting Section 405.1804 and granting a rezoning change of 11.58 acres to be known as Woods Mill Crossing, located at 14302 South Outer 40 Road, from its current commercial district to a planned non-residential development district for single-family residential and commercial retail uses, and approving a preliminary site development plan for same.
Thank you. Bill number 24-26 is continued to the meeting of Tuesday, May 28, 2024 for the second reading and consideration. Next bill, number 24-27, probably sponsored by Alderman Murphy. Without objection, the city clerk read the bill for the first time.
Bill number 2427 is an ordinance accepting the bid of Kendall Industries for the Drace Park Pavilion Replacement Project and authorizing an agreement for same.
Thanks. Bill number 24-27 is continued to the meeting of Tuesday, May 28, 2024 for the second reading and consideration. Next, bill number 24-28, sponsored by Alderman Weazahan. Without objection, will the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2428 is an ordinance authorizing the city administrator to execute a professional services agreement with Navigate Building Solutions for pre-planning and consultant services associated with the facility needs assessment for the municipal center and firehouse.
Thank you. Bill number 24-20 is continued reading of Tuesday, May 28, 2024, for the second reading consideration. The warrant list is the amount of $380,223.51. Seek a motion and second to approve.
Second.
Any discussion or amendment on the warrant list? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I have nothing else to bring up, but I will open it to the aldermen if they have anything else they would wish to discuss that's not on the agenda. And I would seek a motion and second to adjourn. Any discussion or amendment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, very good meeting. Appreciate it.
Ashley, is this your plug or my plug?
It's my plug.
All